Welcome to Daily Variety, your daily dose of news and analysis for entertainment industry insiders. It's Monday, July 20th, 2026. I'm your host, Cynthia Littleton. I am co-editor-in-chief of Variety alongside Ramin Satuda. I'm in LA, he's in New York, and Variety has reporters around the world covering the business of entertainment. On today's episode, in our box office segment, we'll hear from Rebecca Rubin on the stunning opening for The Odyssey. Christopher Nolan used all of his clout with moviegoers to get him out in force for the Trojan horse. It all added up to a $264 million worldwide opening. The Odyssey smash adds horsepower to what has been a strong rebound for the global box office this year. It's a big story Variety's Rebecca Rubin is perfectly situated to cover as our box office chief. But before we get to that, here are a few headlines just in this morning that you need to know. A federal judge has hit the pause button on Paramount Skydance's takeover of Warner Brothers Discovery. This was expected, but it still throws a big wrench into David Ellison's plans. There will be much more to come on this. The next big date to watch is August 3rd, when there will be a hearing on whether to extend that temporary restraining order that blocks Paramount from taking any more steps to close the deal with Warner Brothers Discovery. The World Cup has ended. Long live the World Cup, and congratulations to Spain. For me, the spectacle around Sunday's game was better than the game itself. Tom Cruise never lets a big platform go to waste. Don't miss my colleague Marlo Stern's story on all the stars who turned out for the big game at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Megan Rapinoe has launched her own interview podcast, Why Are You Like This? It will feature Rapinoe in conversation with artists, athletes, activists, and architects of culture, as it's described. The show will be distributed by Vox Media, and it premieres August 6th. Disney Plus has given the green light to Afterlife with Archie, a supernatural series from the team that brought you Riverdale. This is definitely not Archie and Jughead and Betty and Veronica of the 50s. The undead are coming to Riverdale. It's targeted for premiere around Halloween of next year. Fox's Red Seat Ventures creator platform has struck a programmatic advertising deal with Amazon. Red Seat is home to marquee names including Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, and Bill O'Reilly. Business can make strange bedfellows sometimes. All of these stories and so much more can be found on Variety.com right now. And now it's time for conversations with Variety journalists about news and trends in show business. If it's Monday, we're talking box office with Rebecca Rubin, Variety's box office stalwart. The opening weekend of Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey was appropriately epic. There was a lot of data to parse, and Rubin, as always, puts it into sharp context for us. Rebecca Rubin, thank you so much for joining me to talk about a pretty big weekend at the box office.
Indeed. Thank you for having me.
Well, Christopher Nolan did not disappoint. Rebecca, of all the numbers that you've looked at for the performance of The Odyssey in its opening weekend, what stands out to you as the most surprising or the most impressive?
I think what's most impressive is the fact that this movie had such a big opening weekend for an R-rated sword and sandal epic. And I think Christopher Nolan is really the only director who could pull something like this off at the budget that he did and justify the spend from the studio. I think it would be a pretty big risk if basically anyone else were at the helm of this. But he has really solidified himself as a brand at the box office, and he's one of the very, very rare directors today who can get people to go out to the movies just because he is putting out a new film. And with The Odyssey, I think it shows it doesn't even matter what the genre is, what type of film it is. People just want to see whatever he is making next.
It's just an incredible performance. Even on the heels of Oppenheimer and that huge box office and going all the way to Best Picture, this was a big bet for Universal. What were Universal executives telling you about this performance?
As you can imagine, they are quite excited. When I was speaking yesterday to the distribution folks over there, they were describing just the palpable excitement that there is in theaters, and that's evidenced by the fact that there are certain formats, mostly these premium large format screens that are completely sold out. They were completely sold out in opening weekend. They're sold out for next weekend, the weekend after that. And they were saying there's even midweek screenings that are completely sold out. And that is pretty rare just for any film, but particularly a film that is not part of an existing franchise, not a sequel. Obviously, The Odyssey is not an original property, but there is still there are still challenges that come with not being part of a film franchise.
We've talked about this, but now that the proof is in the receipts, they marketed this so well. It was not saturation marketing like you might see for other blockbusters. It was really smart in really interesting platforms like the NBA Finals, like the World Cup. Was this a pretty 50-50 split between men and women? Did it lean toward men?
It did lean toward men, not as significantly as you might expect for a movie like this. People have been joking that it's the quintessential dad movie, but about 55% of audiences were male, which means there was still a pretty good turnout from females. But what was pretty significant to me is that 50% of audiences were between the ages of 18 and 34. Which means he really got the younger crowds in there. If this was in the hands of a different director, I think it could be a movie that skewed much older. And love Matt Damon. He is more of a Gen X star. A lot of the cast is millennials, and so they might not have gotten that younger crowd, but he really did incentivize all audiences to go. And so I think that is the difference between having a decent opening weekend and a phenomenal opening weekend like this was. He was able to get all ages. I think is going to really help the film in the coming weeks. It's poised to have such a great run because the reviews are really strong and the audience scores are really strong. And so hype is pretty high. I think they're going to be riding on this momentum for a while.
And remember, while all of this activity has been going on, Christopher Nolan has also been very busy as president of the Directors Guild of America. It is a testament to the truth of the statement, if you want to get something done, give it to a busy person. So let's talk about the premium large format and the IMAX screens. What percentage of the weekend did that account for?
So premium large formats in general contributed 53% of the film's domestic tally, which is quite significant, but IMAX alone accounted for 23% of global ticket sales. And that is a really significant portion. And a lot of them came from just those 70 millimeter screens that there's only 41 in the entire world. And that is the format that Nolan always says that he designs his films to be seen in. So the movie really over-indexed on those screens. And right now, the ticket sales in IMAX are tracking ahead of Avengers Endgame, which of course is one of the biggest blockbusters of all time. And it's tracking significantly ahead of Oppenheimer, which was a huge success in IMAX.
Do you think that this has been an inflection point, though, for IMAX? Having Nolan being out there at every turn saying, I've been dreaming of doing this for so many years with IMAX cameras. Like, it's really got to add weight to this brand.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I was speaking over the weekend to Rich Gelfond, who is the CEO of IMAX. He called this a transcendent moment for IMAX, and he was predicting that the ripple effect from the Odyssey is going to lead to more IMAX screens opening, more audiences seeking out the format, more directors wanting to work within this format. And so they really view this as a watershed moment. We've seen IMAX since the pandemic just grow and grow and grow in popularity, but IMAX believes that this is putting the company in a new level in consumers' minds because there is such a strong association with this film and IMAX. And there are very few movies these days where people are saying, I want to see it in a specific format. Studios would just be happy if people were seeing a movie, period. And so when they're seeking it out in this format to this degree, it just creates a great halo effect for a company like IMAX. And they are thrilled and can't wait to see how the movie holds in the coming weeks because they've had excellent pre-sales, which extend far beyond opening weekend since people have been snapping up tickets for the 3-week run. And I predict it will run in IMAX much longer than that.
Is there anything you think that IMAX will try to do to capitalize on this momentum with the whole, you've got to see it in IMAX first feeling?
I think moving forward, they will probably try to leverage this to open more auditoriums. And when I've spoken to IMAX in the past, they think that they could have 50% more screens than they already do and still not hit saturation. There aren't that many IMAX screens in the country, in the world, considering how much demand there has been for them. That could be something that we see. And IMAX has been reportedly exploring a sale. They are poised to have their best year ever at the box office this year. And so they're definitely coming at a potential sale from an abundant standpoint rather than trying to salvage a company that is on the verge of going bankrupt, which is something that we've seen from a lot of movie theaters and exhibitors.
Competitors pretty much stayed away from this weekend in terms of new releases, correct, Rebecca? Or did anybody try to sneak any counter-programming in?
Not only did studios avoid releasing a film this weekend, they did not release a film next weekend. So the Odyssey basically has free reign over the box office until Spider-Man Brand New Day opens on July 31st. And so they have a really nice runway ahead of them, and it definitely, again, just speaks to the power that Christopher Nolan has, and studios are very aware of that. Just as a little fun tidbit, the last time Christopher Nolan released a movie, of course, was Oppenheimer, and that film was a massive success, but it actually opened in second place behind Barbie, and so this film was able to open in first place, and they were able to get that satisfaction of having a number one debut at the box office. But yeah, really just speaks to the fact that everybody was concerned and wanted to steer clear, did not want to get caught in the wake of this movie. And so definitely we'll be interested to see how it holds next weekend, knowing that there's no competition.
That is a flex. This is just continuing that good news train for the box office, which is a good thing for Variety. Rebecca, as always, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
As we close out today's episode, here's a few things we're watching for. Comcast reports second quarter earnings on Wednesday. Undoubtedly, we'll hear more about the plan to split up Comcast from NBC Universal and Sky. San Diego Comic-Con also starts on Wednesday. We'll have a big team and lots of coverage coming at you through the weekend on Variety.com. We love to hear from our listeners, so please send thoughts, gripes, and other feedback about Daily Variety to podcasts@Variety.com. Before we go, congrats to Kara Smith. She's been promoted to head of drama for Amazon MGM Studios. Smith has been with the studio for more than 7 years. Thanks for listening. This episode was written and reported by me, Cynthia Littleton, with contributions from Rebecca Rubin. Sticks, Nicks, Hick Picks. Please leave us a review at the podcast platform of your choice, and don't forget to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Daily Variety.